Hello everyone, this is the Prussian Prince, and this video is going to be related to a Fall of the Samurai tournament, Chaos Riders number 2, hosted by Chaos Blade. And there is actually an issue in this instance. What ended up happening essentially is one of the players, Chaos Blade, dropped from the game, and this is game 5 of the match in the quarterfinals. This is game 5, it's a best of 5, so this is the all-important decider game. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because Chaos Blade does not want to give the win to Aura of Death, whereas Aura of Death wants to get the win for this game. He does not want a rematch, but I'm here just to show you the current situation of the game and give you my thoughts on it, of course. And of course, my thoughts may not be your thoughts, so feel free to leave in the comments section your thoughts about it. Like, who do you think won? Like, if you think Aura of Death has enough of an advantage to consider it a win for Aura of Death, or if Chaos Blade is correct and in fact the game should be replayed. But anyway, enough of that. Let's just take a look at the situation. So, first things first, what we do is we count the number of units. So, for Aura of Death, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so we have 9 units for Aura of Death, or did I miscalculate? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, we have 9 units for Aura of Death. Well, no, never mind. We don't have 9 units for Aura of Death. We have 11, because we have these here. So, my bad, already making a mistake with the analysis. But, alright, so 11 units for Aura of Death. Now, what do we have for Chaos Blade? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You cannot really count this as a unit, so it's already 7 units against... It's 7 units against 11, alright? Now, one can argue that, but oh, maybe Chaos Blade's units are in better shape. They have more men, or they're better quality troops. Well, let's think about it for a second. What does Chaos Blade have? He has 2 Red Bears over here. He has an Azure Dragon Force. He has a US Marine, which by the way is going to die because this Yariki is going to kill it. Yariki probably won't survive this engagement, but the US Marine won't survive it either. Now, we also see 2 Red Bears over here for Chaos Blade. So, really, doesn't have a single elite unit left, so his morale is very, very shaky right now. But, let's look at the rest of, how should I put it? Of the units on the battlefield. So for Aura of Death, what do we see? Well, on this flank, which is the easiest, is a Black Tortoise Force and a Red Bear Infantry. Then we see... Well, they're both pretty much full, as are these 2 units. This one has taken some damage, but for Chaos Blade, yeah, these units are in pretty good shape. So is his General. This unit is not. This unit is never gonna make it, because the Revolver Cav is finishing it off. Now, again, for Aura of Death, we see these units in the center here. Black Tortoise is pretty full. Red Bear Infantry only on 54 men, though. So that's not really a unit in a great spot. It can only be used to defend against potentially the enemy general. The General of Chaos Blade. Engaging it frontally against these is going to be suicide with that unit. Anyway, the rest of the units. Well, Aura has a Shogun Guard Infantry, 72 men. Not the best situation for it, but it's an elite unit, provides a morale bonus. It's pretty interesting. And now, I mean, it's pretty nice to have. Now, here's the big deal. Aura of Death has a US Marine unit with 101 men. What unit does Chaos Blade have exactly that's going to deal with that US Marine right now? Because normally, let's say you're in a situation where you have worse quality troops and you don't have as many troops. So what is the tactic? Well, the tactic is to essentially use superior range. If you have superior range, like, right? Like if you have a Tosa or something like that, for instance, you just use your superior range and you kite. Now this situation is not the case for Chaos Blade. He cannot take advantage of that because he doesn't have a single 150 unit or 175 unit, whereas we see the 150 unit for Aura of Death. So in fact, if Aura of Death wants to make this victory really safe, all he needs to do is pull back everything and only use the 150 range United States Marines. And that will always grant him victory. Like he can... Okay, let's say Chaos Blade doesn't engage his US Marine unit, but he will always have to maneuver around it, which is going to be, of course, very, very, very difficult. If he moves around it, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a gap in the lines, in his lines, and he'll be showing a weakness. So, there's that to keep in mind. So again, that is a tactic that Aura of Death can employ, the safest one. Just pull back, use the range advantage of United States Marines to win the game. That is the safest one. And anyway, so quality-wise, no victory for Chaos Blade. Quantity-wise, no victory either. He's in a pretty bad shape right there. I mean, just look at this. There's another thing I want to point out. I mean, this is really small, but still. Look at Chaos Blade's general. It's the stats of it and the amount of men in the unit. We see 26 men in the unit and not so great shooting stats. But now if we look at the general of Aura of Death, 29 men, 3 men more. Okay, not that big of a deal, but then look at the stats. Far better reload skill and far better accuracy. So there's another advantage on the field for Aura of Death right there. The general is much better, more men, and way better stats as well. So, what other advantages does Aura of Death have? Well, let's look at the dojos. If we see the farmhouse here, Chaos Blade has taken the farmhouse, which gives Chaos Blade actually some nice ability to maneuver here, and maneuvering in the late game is pretty important. But, here's the big but. Aura of Death has both the archery dojo and the shrine, which is massive. I mean, in Fall of the Samurai, really, two most important dojos, I would say probably shrine and the archery dojo. The archery dojo, because, you know, obviously, Fall of the Samurai, you need better stats on your gun units, which all of these units benefit from, and shrine because you need more morale, so your units can stay in the fight longer. So, you can already tell Aura of Death has advantages in both of those because of the dojos. And because, of course, he has the elite units in the center. Now, Chaos Blade, he has Red Bears, so their morale isn't that bad. It's not like their Black Tortoise force, but still, no elite unit on the field. You can already look at the morale of this Red Bear. It's red morale. This one's yellow. These guys are green here, which is fine, but they're not going to be green for that long. And again, this US Marine here will die. So, Aura of Death, let's reiterate again. Aura of Death, advantage in dojos, advantage in the number of units, advantage in men total, I suppose. Because, yeah, some units are kind of damaged, but the important ones, the most important one, US Marine, is still in decent shape. And so yeah, quantity, quality, dojos, currently the 3 advantages for Aura of Death. Now, what else does he have in terms of advantages? Well, he has a revolver cav. Granted, he did tell me that essentially he doesn't have much ammo left on this one, so it's probably out of ammo after it kills this Red Bear. So there's that. But it has 27 men, and this gives Aura of Death mobility, extra mobility over Chaos Blade, because then that means he'd have 2 cav units compared to Chaos Blade's 1 cav unit. And this unit, it's a revolver cav, it's not gonna do much, but in the late game, if you want to break your opponent, if your opponent has no elites, and he doesn't have the shrine, then a rear charge with the revolver cap might just do it and might just chain route his forces, right? So there's another thing Aura of Death can do, which is quite important to actually take note of. Now, what else is there to keep in mind? Well, how could Aura of Death lose this game? Let's think of the worst possible scenario for Aura of Death. Okay, say... Alright, somehow this US Marine doesn't die, right? Which I have no idea how that would not happen, but still. Because we can just have like this US Marine target down this US Marine. And it's actually targeting it down. You can already see if I hold down space. You can see the orders given by Aura of Death. So there it is. Targeting down the US Marine, so it's dead. But anyway, let's just somehow say that it's not going to happen, right? Well, it's going to happen within the next 5 seconds, I don't think. Yeah, let's just keep this out. This unit is dead. There's no... I can't think of how this unit will still be alive. But still. Alright, so this unit's dead. But then this Azure Dragon Force, 121 men. What's it gonna do here? Okay, let's say these units don't get pulled back in time, so the Azure moves up, gets first shot on these units, but it's still not gonna give the advantage to Chaos Blade. Because this unit's gonna be done. It's gonna die on its own here. There's no way this unit survives against these 2 units, right? Even if it gets first volley off, these 2 units are just simply that much better that they will just out DPS the Azure Dragon Force with more morale as well to boot, so they will not... Like, this Azure Dragon Force is just going to rout. It's gonna get completely obliterated. It might kill like 30 men, maybe 40 men at most of these units, I imagine. But then it's going to die a very, very quick death. So that is the absolute best scenario for Chaos Blade here. For the best trade, like he kills some of these guys here, but then he loses his Azure Dragon Force if he engages. The other thing he could do is he could pull back the Azure Dragon Force. He would still lose men because it's in the line of fire of both of these units. So he would essentially gain nothing, but he would trade. He would gain nothing but lose men for free. So that's the other situation. So both situations are really, really bad for Chaos Blade. No matter what he picks here, he's still going to have an inefficient trade in this scenario. Now I looked at this potential side. Now let's look at here, the left flank of Chaos Blade. So what can happen here? He has 2 red bears, right? So if he pushes up the 2 red bears here and Aura of Death somehow completely botches this engagement and doesn't move it up, doesn't like move the red bears back to kite, well, let's think about it this way. These guys have Shrine. They have the Archery Dojo. 55 reload skill, 40 accuracy. These guys only have 35 reload skill. This unit has 132 men. It's in good shape. This unit has 136, 149. These guys are in even better shape. But still, this unit is going to get first volley, right? So, even if these guys push up, they're going to take some casualties. And yes, these guys will definitely beat the single red bear unit. And it might even be cost effective when you normally think about it, but not in the grand scheme of things in this game. Because, and let me tell you why. Because simply, Aura of Death has more units. So, he can afford to take a few not so great engagements. As long as it's just a few of them, right? He just has more units. But anyway, let's say, okay, this unit dies. Then there's... This flank is not open here because we will see a red bear that's... He's going to position itself very nicely here in this forest, so these 2 red bears will be unable to further push up here. So that's already... That is really the best case scenario for Chaos Blade. On this left flank here, on the far left, and here on the left. Again, there's no way this Azure Dragon Force can do anything good. It's not going to get any good engagement here. These guys can get an okayish engagement, but it's still not going to be game-winning game deciding engagements that these guys can take. And that is, again, best case scenario for these guys, for Chaos Blade, is still gonna end up in pretty bad trades, really. Now, let's look at the right flank. What can happen here? Well, okay, this is a Black Tortoise Force, right? So not the best stats, but it has better reload than this Red Bear. And it has more men. So there's a decent chance that Aura of Death will trade cost efficiently here. However, he does have more guys outside of the forest, so they will not take that much... how should I put it? They will take more damage, but here's the thing. He has a better position with his Black Tortoise than the Red Bears of Chaos Blade, so he's actually going to defeat this Red Bear, because this Red Bear is not in good position. So he's going to either have to reposition it like this, so then he can fire at the Black Tortoise with all his men, but he's going to end up losing the engagement if he does that. So probably the best course here would be to pull back this Red Bear. So then there is no way he gets the Shrine. And in fact, this Black Tortoise and Red Bear can actually push into those. Potentially. Or at least just keep it even, you know? So that's not an engagement that Chaos Blade can use to gain an advantage. And now Aura of Death has this Revolver Cav unit. Okay? So what's this Revolver Cav unit going to do? Well, again, like I said, rear charges. It can wait until some engagements happen here and then rear charge. And say, okay, the rear charge with the Revolver Cav happens into these line units. And if that happens, then Chaos Blade will send the General to shoot the Revolver Cav and kill it very quickly so that his own lines can properly fire again. But, here's a big but. Aura of Death can use his own General or another line unit or the Marine unit to take care of the General of Chaos Blade. So that would be a bit risky, to say the least. So there is that. I mean, if Chaos Blade has to use his own General to deal with the Revolver Cav, that leaves him vulnerable to Aura of Death's General. Then Aura of Death can move around and like flank the Red Bears and stuff with his General, or just follow his Revolver Cav with the General. But anyway, let's think about worst case scenario again. Let's say Revolver Cav somehow frontally charges into this Azure Dragon Force. That could be the worst thing that this Revolver Cav do, right? Like right now, just charge completely into this Azure Dragon Force. That still would be a good trade, because this Azure Dragon Force would be stuck here and get shot at by Shogunate Guard Infantry and the United States Marines. So, yeah. What else is there to say? Alright. So, again, this side here, most likely going to be a stalemate, but Aura of Death has Red Bear unit here, and a Black Tortoise Force unit here. So all he needs to do is keep a stalemate here, just potentially poke with the US Marines, while these guys push here. That's another thing he could do, other than just only using his US Marines, basically. So if he moves in the Red Bear here and the Black Tortoise and flanks these two units, there's nothing these guys can do, especially with support from the Revolver Cav. So let's just say these two units are dead, no matter how you look at it. If Aura of Death wants, he can take a very cost-efficient engagement against them and kill them with not much of a hassle, really. Send these two units here to attack the two Red Bears, and then we'll go for a rear charge with the Revolver Cav. Easy peasy, not many losses, right? The other thing he could do is, of course, keep these two units here, maintain the stalemate, not try to kill them, aka isolating them, but send these two units here. Now what's that going to happen? Okay, so we see the Red Bear here, keeping these units busy, and there's these two units here making sure that the Azure Dragon Force here is in a lot of trouble, okay? So if these two units push the flank here, There's only 3 lines really for Chaos Blade. So he's going to have to... Okay, so the first thing he's going to have to do is... He's going to have to keep this unit of red bears over here to deal with this unit of red bears. And then he's probably going to have to rotate another red bear unit, right? On this flank as soon as these two come. But here's the thing. These two will be able to defeat a single unit of any of those, really. Because these are all like damaged units, right? So they're not that great. This one is nearly full HP. This one doesn't have much, for sure. But still, even if it just dies instantly and gets shot at, that would be good enough for the Black Tortoise Force to unleash a volley and destroy whatever Chaos Blade is using there, either the Red Bear or the Azure Dragon Force. And it would win in combat, really. Because, again, morale better, and of course the reload speed is nice. So, yeah. And again, there's this reserve unit that Aura of Death has here. So, I don't know in what universe Chaos Blade could win this. Because Aura of Death would have to make like 3-4 big mistakes. Almost like he wouldn't be... Like he would essentially not have to play the game in order to lose this battle, I think. Or just like send both of these units into melee, then send the Revolver Cap into melee against the Azure Dragon Force here. If he sends these 3 units into melee against this unit, he would actually still win. Because he would still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines available compared to the enemy's 5. Okay, granted, this one is not in the best shape, but the rest are better. So he would still probably win this game. And now again, Aura of Death has the advantage with the general, so he would still probably win that game, even if he plays this out the worst way he can with these 2 units, like aka just somehow giving melee orders to the US Marine and Shogunate Guard infantry into this Azure Dragon Force. He would still win. He would still win even in that scenario. So I cannot see how Chaos Blade would win this game. I really can't. I see no situation in which Chaos Blade can do anything. Like, there is no tactical move that Chaos Blade can do here that would give him the advantage and let him win this game, in my opinion. The only thing that could happen for him to win this game is, again, for Aura of Death not to play the game. And for Ord, like, he makes 4 or 5 big mistakes in a row, but like, I really can't see him making all those mistakes in a row like that. It's just hard to believe, honestly. So, again, I would like to say that Aura of Death really should be given the victory of this game because, yeah, I mean, he clearly has the advantage in nearly every possible way, really. So, yeah, the advantage is just big enough, in my opinion, to grant him the win. But anyway, that's enough for me. So again, I would like to see you in the comments, guys. Like, let me know what you think of this situation. Chaos Blade, again, if Chaos Blade is right and and the advantage is not big enough, and game should be replayed, or if Aura of Death is correct in that he has the advantage. I'm siding with Aura of Death on this one, but again, let me know what you guys think. I would be interested. So, yep, I'm off. Hope you all enjoyed. See you next time.